2 weeks ago, I went prairie dog hunting. The 2 cartridges I brought, many of you told me, actually a lot of you told me, were extremely overkill. That was, I brought a 257 Weatherby and a 243 Winchester. I obviously have smaller cartridges that could do the job more efficiently, but I just thought it'd be an absolute blast to get a prairie dog with a 257 Weatherby. And my 243 Winchester is a lot more accurate than my other small cartridges. However, due to a very wet winter in Wyoming, we weren't able to get to our prairie dog hunting spot. There was just too much water, too much mud. We just didn't want to be getting trucks stuck in the mud. So we went exploring for other places to go, and well, we didn't see any prairie dogs, but we did find a metal target and a road that led us to a homemade bench that was 775 yards away. And suddenly these overkill cartridges, well, this seemed like the perfect little challenge. See if I can hit a metal target at 775 yards. 257 Weatherby was a champ. Hit it every single time, including the first time. Dialed it to 9 MOA. Yeah, this thing's extremely flat. Decided to try the 243 Winchester. And once we figured the holdover and the windage, this thing was just as consistent. Everyone that came along hit the metal target at 775 yards. And that was with a 75 grain VMAX. And so in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I'm going to turn my old FUD 243 Winchester cartridge into my target cartridge. It's obviously no secret that I am a pretty big Weatherby fan, and some of my favorites are the 257 Weatherby and my 300 Weatherby. And I have taken these out long distance. I've hit a 1,000-yard target pretty easily with the 300 Weatherby, and I've taken this to 775 yards, just as I talked about. They are extremely fun, and it's fun to show that these old, kind of out of design cartridges can still, well, do just as good as the brand new ones. Here's one problem. These really aren't meant for target shooting, as in they're not cost effective and they're not good on the barrel. And a couple weeks ago, it kind of dawned on me as me, my 10-year-old son, and family were all hitting this target at 775 yards with a 75 grain VMAX bullet with a terrible BC consistently. This guy should probably be my actual target cartridge. Why the 243 Winchester? Well, here's the list of cartridges I have. I have a 223. I have a 243, I have a 257 Weatherby, I have a 270 Winchester, and I have a 300 Weatherby. And I just want to get recreationally into target shooting. You know, I'm not trying to compete or anything, and I don't really want to buy a new gun. I know that's surprising, but well, I need to use my funds for something else. I'll talk about that another time. But so it just dawned on me. As I said, 243 is extremely light recoiling. Barrel life, much better than any of the Weatherby cartridges. And, well, the flavor of the month right now for target shooting is 6mm, so there are plenty of bullet options, even for my slow twist 243 Winchester. And so the bullet that I chose was this. The 95 grain Classic Hunter. This is basically the heaviest bullet that I can shoot in a 1 in 10 twist. The G1BC 0.434. So, you know, it's not particularly high, but really not too bad for a 95 grain bullet in 6mm. Okay, here is what the bullets look like. Yeah. They're a sleek little bullet. And then I did measure to the lands with my specific rifle, so I'm just going to start this out 20 thousandths off the lands, and this is what it looks like. So a decent amount of freebore in my rifle. These aren't seated in very far, and it still does actually fit in my magazine, so that's pretty sweet. And velocity wise, I think bare minimum for me is to reach 2900. I think if I really hot rodded it with certain powders, I could get over 3,000 feet per second with this 95 grain bullet. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I do think my rifle will like this bullet, and I'll get at least half MOA, because I am getting half MOA with the VMAX bullet. For over 10 years, the 6.5 Creedmoor, this guy here, has kind of been the standard for long distance target shooting, at least recreationally, maybe not with competitive shooters, but it's a darn good target cartridge. Extremely light recoil, high BC bullets, what's not to like, right? So can my really outdated 243 Winchester hold its own against a 6.5 Creedmoor? Let's find out. Let's look at the data for the 243 Winchester with this 95 grain classic hunter bullet with a G1 BC of .434, and we'll be generous and just say you can get 3,000 feet per second with this bullet in the 243. I don't really care about the energy. This is just for target practice, but there it is, almost 1,900 foot-pounds, almost no recoil. And then what we're really going to be focusing on comparing to the 6.5 Creedmoor is the drop and the drift. So at 200 yards, you have 3 inches of drop, and then the drift will be in MOA adjustment. So let's just take this out to 500. Bullet's still going 2,005 feet per second, 47.4 inches of drop, and 3.78 MOA adjustment. Let's take this out to 800, where I nearly shot at with that 75 grain VMAX. This only has 171 inches of drop, and again, this is in a 10 mile per hour wind. It's 6.9 MOA adjustment. Let's go out to 1,000. Bullet's going 1,269 feet per second. Energy, there is none. You should not be hunting with a 243 at 1,000 yards. Okay, the drop quite a bit, 326.5 inches of drop, and then 9.43 MOA adjustment. 6.5 Creedmoor with a 140 grain hybrid target bullet, BC of .607, muzzle velocity of 2,750 feet per second. The energy, well, yeah, you're going to have over 400 more foot-pounds of energy, but you're getting a little bit more recoil. So 14 foot-pounds of recoil compared to 9. Then let's just take this out to 500 yards, 52.1 inches of drop. So it does drop a little more than that 243, but only 2.9 MOA adjustment in a 10 mile per hour wind. This is where the 6.5 Creedmoor is going to stomp the 243, is in windage. Let's take this out to 800. Bullet's going almost 1,700 feet per second, 175.8 inches of drop. So it's now taking over the 243 in drop and smoking it in windage, only 5.08. Out to 1,000, 1,481 feet per second. Double the energy, but still, you really should not be hunting with either of these cartridges at 1,000 yards. 317 inches of drop. So not a huge advantage, but still flatter than a 243 with a 1 in 10 twist 243. And then MOA, it really just shows you the advantage you have with this higher BC, 6.77 compared to over 9 with the 243. The 243 Winchester was my first hunting rifle / cartridge, and it's a darn good deer cartridge. But as I've gotten older, it's really fallen to the wayside and kind of forgotten in my house because, well, the 257 is just an incredible little deer cartridge, and then my dedicated elk cartridge or bigger is the 300 Weatherby. And as I said, the 243 was kind of put to the wayside and forgotten. Didn't really know what to do with this little guy until 2 weeks ago when I found a perfect little niche for it. It's going to be my target cartridge.